Hello and welcome to episode 35 of the Sussex by the Sea podcast, a podcast about all things Hastings United. I'm your host Chris Laverick, and on today's show we have non-league progs founder Chris Tuck, who's also part of a campaign that's close to my heart, which is to keep the printed programme. We talk the arguments for and against, also what some clubs are doing to keep it alive, and where this campaign is going next. And if that wasn't enough, we have roving reporter SEGAL, as he gets his now weekly exclusive post-match thoughts from Billy Wood after yet another impressive victory by our women's team to send them to the top of the league. And lastly, it's the fan roundtable. And it's a bit topical this week as we touch on not only our great FA Cup win, but also the pilot film move. And what's the joy of the SBTS fan roundtable is it's an open forum that's uncensored, and every Hastings fan is very welcome, whether I agree with them or not, is there to get your views across. And now over to Chris Tuck. We have audio. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Chris.
It's a great name, isn't it, Chris?
Love it.
I mean, well, let's just kick. Well, no, let's not actually kick off. Let's kick this off. This is an absolute pleasure. Chris Tuck, who runs the non-league program's Twitter. But before I start with anything, what made you start this Twitter account off?
I think I had a bit of spare time and I was going to catalogue my programs. A lot of people have spreadsheets and that kind of thing. But I thought, hey, I'm a modern dad. I can do this. I'll take a photo of the cover of every program, and they've always got the salient details on there, who they're playing against, what the competition is. So I thought I'll take a couple of photos, and then I can't explain the next bit, but for some reason I thought I'll just tweet one of the pictures, and yeah, non-league progs was born.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, there's for those that use Twitter, because not all the world uses Twitter, which maybe is a good thing. I'm not sure. Yeah. It's a great treasure trove of all the different programs that are out there. There's a ton of different things going on that no one knows about. So part of doing what we're going to do today is obviously trying to get it out there to anyone and everyone. We've got an issue, and that issue is that the printed program, a lot of clubs aren't doing them anymore.
So what happened a few years ago, and it's been a kind of a dripping tap since, is the removal of the word mandatory in the regulations for whether a club needs and has to produce something in print for their home fixtures. So that's EFL, Premier League, and obviously down in non-league. And by removing the word mandatory, many clubs jumped on that, and they said, well, if we don't have to produce a print one, the rules tend to say you have to produce an online one or a print one. And so some clubs kind of jumped on that and saw online as either a better option because they think they'll reach more people, or as a cheaper option because print costs were rising and they felt they could get away with that. So the biggest kind of issue to do with the printed program is that the clubs don't have to produce now, and many are choosing this online option, and that's what's vexing a number of us.
It's certainly vexing me, Chris, which is it's good that we found each other on this, because, for instance, like in terms of I was going to try and play devil's advocate on this, but I can't. I just can't do it. The the costs of printing have gone down. It's just you need to look around. I know that from my work with the Independent Supporters Club at Hastings, that the costs have gone down.
So I think people seem to couch this conversation as online or print. But for me, it's both. I don't mind if clubs put their programs online. I can see exactly why you would do that. There are people on the other side of the world, or maybe some fans who can't make it to games, who would love to view the program online from where they are. So I don't think the debate, from my point of view, is against online programs. Simply saying, make sure you print some. For me, the going to the game aspect is the important part of a program. So I might go on a club's website before I leave. I might go on their website afterwards. I might read some articles or some info about the club. But when I go to the game, that's when I want that bit of paper in my hand, which has a bit of the history, has some pen pictures of the players that I'm looking at, and some photographs of the league table. I can check if it goes to 1-1, what happens next in the league table between those two teams. And the games I've been to recently, I was at Newport and at Brentford, and neither of which the 4G worked at all. So even if the program was online and you say, well, you could just click on it whilst you're watching the game, you can't, because your phone's running out of battery. The 4G doesn't work. A lot of people over the age of 50, their phone screen size is nowhere near big enough to download and read a program online. And so when you're at the game, having a printed program in your hand gives you all that information you need. And I think that's been lost a little bit in the argument. This is about having a program when you go to a game. Yes, there are collectors who subsequently want copies, but first and foremost, for the game I was at last night at Flackwell Heath, I saw a number of people just flicking through their programs whilst they're waiting for kickoff during the game. And I guess they'll be doing that when they got home. So match day programs for match day online doesn't do the same job. Sure, put it online, probably put it online after, so that you don't ruin the sales of the actual program during the day. But yeah, that's the framed argument, if you like.
Yeah, okay. I know from point of view of the printed program versus the online program, one of the things that I would always argue for the printed program ahead of the online is that it's instantly forgettable online. Not the retention of any of this online is very minimal. I've looked at advertisers even talk about that because obviously they're evil advertisers. They like to suss out what the consumer takes in more and all this sort of stuff. Well, there are lots of evidence to say that you pick up more from a physical media more than online.
Yes.
And it's a nice memento of the game.
So yeah, again with the online program, and again it depends if it's EFL or if it's non-league. For me, I understand EFL clubs putting their programs online. They've got a greater number of supporters who won't get to the game, so they can look at it online. Again, haven't really got a problem with that. I think forcing some of the lower level non-league teams to put something online, I can't imagine too many would want to click on the program from last night, not because it wasn't a great program or a great club. It's Flackwell Heath. They're down in step 5. How many people are really going to want to leaf through a program for that? But more, I was speaking to, it's worth bringing up, I'll probably reference it a couple of times. There's a particular digital company who are making digital programs instead of printed programs at the moment. And I've been having some dialogue with that person. They do produce print as well, so they're not anti-print. But I was talking about adverts, as you were just saying there. And if in Stevenage, the local butcher wants to advertise, then if I live in Stevenage and I pick up a Stevenage program, I might then think, okay, that's a local butcher, I might use him, and that might give some money to the club. But if I'm clicking on that advert from America, that butcher is not going to get any extra business from me. And
well, the postage is going to kill him.
Absolutely. And so this kind of talk in the digital world of reach and number of clicks, and then they can go to Dave the Butcher and say, look at all these clicks we've had around the world, so please advertise with us more, I think kind of misses the point. I think the program first and foremost is a local thing for the local visitors. I wrote an article fairly recently, and it was called "We Protect the Things That We Love." And I kind of made the point of things like the Tower of London or the Barn Owl. I was feeling quite random on the day I was writing this article.
Yeah.
And but essentially trying to say there's two arguments here. There's the argument where we'll talk about cost, we'll talk about COVID, we'll talk about sales. But for me, fundamentally, a printed program is an intrinsic part of the match day experience. And for me, the FA and the leagues should step in and say, we're going to stop this erosion of that. We understand that it's an important part, even for 5 or 10%. Which non-league club can afford to lose 5 or 10% of their their attendance for people who go somewhere else because there isn't that program. So for me, I'm suggesting that like a national trust or someone makes the decision to say we won't allow these printed programs to die. A cup of tea or Bovril or whatever it is people have, the program for me is part of the match day and should be protected, even if you only make a fiver, or even if you lose a fiver, that it's something you provide for those people coming along.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just, as I said before, I think there is a part of this that it is like with anything when you're got to do something weekly. I know myself doing a weekly podcast online is, they would say, is possibly easier. Most clubs just won't produce anything, particularly at the lower levels, and that's the real shame. You would say that, so the arguments against the printed program,
it's good to go through them. So we've got the costs to the clubs, because there is a cost issue. Low sales, I have to accept that that's the case in places. COVID itself and the rise of online programs. I think they're four of the main arguments for relaxing that mandatory rule. I think on the cost to clubs, there'll be clubs people who are listening, and they'll be agreeing and saying we only print 30 and we only sell 4 and we pay this much. All I can say is, if you look on the Twitter feed, I've got so many examples of clubs that are breaking even, some of them even making a few quid. So it is possible. Yes, it takes a few extra volunteers. Part of it is actually selling them. The last game I was at, there was a guy stood with a box at his feet with the programs. You didn't know he was there. You could easily have walked past him. There was no attempt made to sell them. Whereas I had the pleasure of working at Eastleigh on Saturday, had a box of 200, and I was everywhere in people's faces. Don't let print die. Buy the printed program, and sold a box of 200 in an hour and a half. So
I think a lot of that's effort. It's effort, isn't it?
I was knackered, man. I was absolutely knackered. But I think the cost issue, you said about the cost of paper as well. I think if you shop around, if you use local, so there isn't some delivery costs either. Sometimes you get the printer to sponsor the program, and that pays towards it. Don't go with 80 shiny pages. Go with 24 black and white pages. Supporters don't necessarily want a full magazine every week. Just do the basics. So cost, I think, can be mitigated. I've seen it being mitigated. Low sales, I think I've touched on a little bit there. Make your printed programs available to buy online afterwards. Sell a few more. Make sure the club shop's got last week's programs for sale, and make sure they're on the turnstile. Again, I go to places where they say £5 or £6 with a program, and they put the program almost in my hand whilst I'm even, well, if they knew me, they knew I wouldn't be thinking about it. But for the punter who's not so interested, if the program is basically there straight away in their face, then you might go, okay, for an extra £1, I'll buy that. So I think there's ways.
It's also about involving the community as well, the supporter community. For Hastings, we've got it's full of relevant things, including, like, as we have a supporters club page, it's always full of the stuff that's going on with supporters. It's about making it relevant and obviously up to date. Yeah, that's the most important thing. Yeah, and not just something that's just got a load of ads in with just a team lineup, which it is about making that effort. I know that at Hastings, because I can only speak for them at the moment, that the sales of we stopped with COVID, but we then started selling them again, which was very good. I was very happy about that. New printer, very professionally done, and just full of the relevant information. So what's happened? Sales have gone up.
Yeah.
So you make the efforts, and that's it. Sorry for butting in there. Please carry on.
No, that could be number 5, to be honest, because some programs are terrible, in inverted commas, and I have to admit that. And at the end of the day, people won't buy them weekly or every other week if they just are full of adverts. And so getting some good content, we produce some. I think always just go to your local college, go to the media and the English departments in your local college, and get kids writing articles that you can put in the program, and get the media guys to get the photos, and even join the team of putting the program together. So you're right, it has to be a good program for it to sell week in, week out. But the third thing was COVID, and we understand that in the initial risk assessments of do we put a football match on, we understand when there wasn't that much knowledge about COVID that people pared down, did a risk assessment and thought, let's not have one. Okay, those days are gone now. It's shown to be an airborne disease, a little bit through touch. But for me, it can go from the printers, fall straight down into a ream paper box. That box arrives at your club, you put it on a table and you let the punter take it out of the box. Even since COVID, I've had so many programs given to me, whereas I could have just taken it from the box to avoid any risk. But we know the risk is tiny from that anyway. So it can go, the printers will tell you, it can go from printer to the hand of the supporter without really touching anybody else's hands. And if they are, then I'm sure they've washed their hands and sanitized beforehand. So people did risk assessments and they risk assessed programs out. What I would say is that any good risk assessment gets reviewed 3-monthly, something like that.
Yeah.
And now where we are, I can't see anyone doing a COVID risk assessment and stopping paper programs without also stopping the 50/50 tickets, the cup of tea, the pint, all the other things as well. We know that newspapers continue to print and be bought across the COVID pandemic in this country. And so for me, COVID isn't now a reason to not have printed programs. And finally, but we've touched on it already, online programs are a threat to the printed program. And I just say they don't need to be a threat. Do your online program, have your extra content that you can click on and watch some YouTube, but have the printed one as well. Just moving on to the positives, I guess, about printed programs. One of the obvious ones for me, and I've yet to make contact with the museum, the football museum up north, but these programs will be holding history, and I'm pretty sure the URL links for these online programs will expire in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And then where do you go for information about the game that happened before that, and the players, and when they signed and when they didn't sign, when you moved ground? I kind of think sometimes if I go to a game without a program, did the game exist? I say that tongue in cheek, of course it did, but the historical value of these printed programs is immense. And if the club keep back one of every home game, going back year after year, you can only see the positives in terms of the recorded history of that club.
One of the things that this is as an example of the printed program. So what happened was one of our players who's played over nearly 580 games for us, Sammy Adams, quality midfielder, absolute legend at our club. The supporters club wanted to put together a trophy and like a presentation. It was several pictures, several photos of his career, but we also found out when he played his first game, and it was against Corinthian Casuals away as a sub, right? As when he was a little boy. So contacted, looked for this, obviously looking for this program. We wanted to get the front and back of it. It was like from 2004, 3 or 4, can't remember now the exact year. There's no online. There's no online. Can't find it. Contacted Corinthians. They searched through their club shops, couldn't find it. Then one of their stewards said, hang on, I might have it in a box somewhere. Goes looking in his attic in this box, finds the program, sends us a copy of the thing. And it's just that beauty of it, that stuff never dying, because you're only as good. That in terms of online, it's only as good as the websites that they're on, and if people keep them up to date and pay for them. So just one example of, and he really loved that present, by the way. But it just the thing of it being a physical media is important.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was saying. Really, where will you go to find out when someone made their debut and when the first game at the new ground was? Where will you go for that information? Well, the printed program is primary, I think, in that sense. And just the other way to just be innovative and selling your program. I know some clubs that they produce a program for their home games, but that program will also cover the other weekend fixtures of their ladies team, of their under 5s, under 6s, under 7s. And you put a page about the under 9s and a picture of someone's little youngster in there. Then you can sell the program over the whole weekend, and parents love that kind of thing, to see a picture of their their programme in print on page 7, and with the ladies' game growing, I think sometimes maybe not just covering the 3 o'clock fixture that the men's team are playing, but extending that out to say, here's our football team's weekend magazine, our weekend programme covering these fixtures. And then, as I say, you can sell to all manner of other people, as well as the people attending the main game, as it were. And I've just seen such good innovation in programs and good ideas. There's a program at the moment which is being produced where they've just done a local competition for the kids to draw the covers, and so the cover is a simply drawn kids picture that is now the cover. And you can imagine the parent buying up a number of those, and the school buying up a number of those for their records. I mentioned that online programs are saying, well, yeah, we can have all this extra features, online links, YouTubes. Well, I mean, Frickley Athletic, even a couple of years ago, had QR codes in their programs where you could hover your phone over the link, and then the YouTube clip would come up for the goals from the game that they're talking about. Maybe you do that when you got home. So I think there's innovation, there's ways of selling things, selling the programs, as we've said, that mean it's really worth a good old try. If people try all those things and say, Chris, look, we still only sold 4, you say, okay, but I'm pretty sure if you're selling them actively well, they've got good content, if you're innovating, you're getting the local colleges involved potentially for writing and photographs, that you could sell 25 or 50.
Well, it's maybe just a step forward. Luckily enough, I was saying with Hastings, we cover the women's game, cover the kids, cover all it, and that leaks out. That's the thing, is when there's a good program, that kind of leaks out into other activity around the club. So it's quite an active community. I went to Ramsgate. Unfortunately, we lost. I can't forgive them for that. But we played Ramsgate. Fantastic program. Got lots of stuff in it. But also you could see there's loads of stuff going on for the children. They had loads of a fun day where they had all the under 9s and under 7s there, and it's sort of like it kind of breeds into other things. If you kind of like got a good program with lots of content, lots of stuff going on around the club, not just men's but women's, everything else, it breeds into other things, and you could just see it. I was very impressed with Ramsgate. The buggers beat us, but that doesn't matter. I'll forgive them for that. But like you could see clubs that are making an effort. And then I have been to a few step 4 clubs where pre-COVID that you just see, well, okay, we're going through the motions here. Anyway,
and at the very least, I've seen I think Larne in Northern Ireland are saying now, order your program before you come to the game. And they're almost printing to order. So they know that 30 people or 50 people will want a program, or 200 people. And they've got a printer themselves that they've purchased, which obviously there's a cost there. But they're printing to order. So all of this, where clubs say we printed 500 and we only sold 34. Well, first of all, adjust how many you're printing. But second of all, there are creative ways of doing that. And so I've been to a few games where I've just said, yes, I'm coming, and yes, I'll have a program. And they almost print to order. So that attitude stands up so differently against where clubs are putting their program online, but they're putting them online in a format that are not even printable. So even if the club don't want to make money out of the print, someone somewhere will print it for me. And so to protect copyright, they're putting these programs in formats. They're making them less pages so they can't print the exact 4, 8, 12, 16. And it feels like a massive kick in the teeth to not only put a program online, but then make it in such a random format that it couldn't be printed off, and then claim, when you try and say, well, I just want a printed copy, that you're ripping them off and that you're messing their copyright. Well, the club belongs to the fans. And if the fans, if the demand 100%. Is there, if the demand is there for printed programs, then put it in and if we're asking for it, then you're obviously missing a trick yourself. Because if you printed 20, we would have bought them. So the online as well as printed, fine. But online, when you're literally going out of your way to not make them printable and then claim some higher ground of copyright, is pretty abhorrent to me, and there's no need at all.
Where does that exist? Is that up the leagues? I mean,
At the moment, I think,
Championship and Premiership and all that.
There's a couple of apps that basically will, I think, is where you go for that program, and up in EFL, that's happening, and absolutely. We said at the start there is some differences between this argument in the EFL versus non-league, but any attempt to make a program format unprintable seems to be pretty unfortunate when they know there's a number of people who would. And look, Man City, they went online, they've gone back to printed this season. Wrexham, they've gone printed. If this was a dying art, you wouldn't have leaders and clubs that are growing starting to print programs again. For me, I always said it was going to be the new vinyl, in that it might go somewhere else, but it'll be back, and people will want it. And those clubs that are getting ahead of the curve now, producing some programs, maybe even making a few quid on it.
So where do you want this all to go, Chris? Like, well, obviously we've had a little bit of a rant about it, but we're coming from a loving place. We want these things to continue. We want away fans to come to our grounds to take that memento from our home teams. I know myself, I don't feel like I've been to an away game unless I've got a program. It just doesn't feel the same. But that's just maybe just me. Where is there any outlets we can go to kind of try and push this a little bit further? So I'm looking into that, and there's a guy at the FA who is interested. He agrees first and foremost, but he's interested in talking. Contacted the FSA, the Football Supporters Association, and there'll be league committees to potentially get on board. The idea is to say that just reintroduce the mandatory rule for printed programs. Look at the number of adverts that leagues say have to be in programs. A lot of clubs say, well, I only want to produce an 8-pager, but 5 of the pages have got to be adverts that the league make us put in there. Now, I understand why leagues do that, but if in the end they don't print the programs anymore, you're not getting anything. So there's a few things like that, some of the issues that we've talked about today, and it sort of feels like they're sliding away programs without a fight, if you like. So I want to make sure the tone is positive. I'm not, like I say, against online programs. It's for printed programs for historical reasons, for fans, for supporters. So looking to put together some a proposal that basically says reintroduce that mandatory rule with some rationale, and see if we can get the FA on board first and foremost, and maybe some of the supporters clubs as well. I don't want it to be ranty, like we said we ranted, but I think we've given both sides of the argument, and I want to make sure, because a lot of fans are very disgruntled. So particularly on Twitter, as you say, you'll see a lot of disgruntled people, and that's fine. But I just want to make sure that when we present the argument, we do it in a professional way, in a way that adds up in terms of financially, as well as what's right for the supporter. So kind of working on that, doing it alongside the day job, so that's not moving too fast. But that's essentially what I want to do. I want to be able to walk away. If we don't win on this, I want to be able to walk away and said that we tried, we harnessed the support, and we tried. And if people aren't listening beyond that, then not too much more we can do. So kind of watch this space. We're on Twitter. I've got an Instagram account as well, which is also at non-LGE progs, so non-league progs, on email as well. And if anyone's listening to this, contact me via the Sussex by the Sea podcast. So we don't want this to go without a fight, that's for sure. And I don't think it will. I think it will prevail. Well, Chris, obviously keep me updated. We will get this out. I know it's a conversation that a lot of us have at the Hastings. There's a few that don't see the point in programs, but there's a lot. There's a very healthy amount of people that are buying them. Usually they're sold out way before, I nearly said full time, way before kickoff. So you have to be sharp about getting it. And that's always a good sign. Yeah. Yes. You know, so But yeah, please, I really appreciate your time, Chris. And well, let's hope this kicks on.
Thanks.
And now over to Hastings Motty himself, Rambling Rice Eagle.
It's full time here at the TGS Pilot Field, and whilst it wasn't the most enthralling game you'll ever see the women play, it was a win. I'm here to talk about that win with none other than Billy Wood. So, Billy, it wasn't the most sparkly display, but how important do you think those wins are for building character?
I think the win today showed the strength and depth of our squad. So 1-0, it's not as eye-catching as 10-0 or 15-1 or whatever ridiculous scores that we've had recently. But the fact that we played today, missing Sean Heather, missing Molly Hill, who are joint top scorers at the club, missing them two, both had massive attacking options, them not being here, problem. And also the fact that other players stepped up just showed the strength of the squad and showed the willingness of the squad to adapt to a situation. And I think today was an absolute fight against a team that, once again, another undefeated team. They've won both of their games too, Brian. So there were no walkover. But we showed real grit and determination. And whilst it wasn't the greatest game, I think we played exceptionally well, especially second half when we did what we do best, and that's dominate teams and make it hard for them to play.
You've already mentioned the basis for my second question, actually, which was the attacking injuries, so missing Hill and Heather, who have become two key centrepieces of the team. Mm-hmm. And you've talked about stepping up. So in terms of what that will do for morale, will it almost show the squad that whilst they're still good players who will play regularly, it shows that it gives the squad confidence they can step up in their absence? Yeah,
you've got Millie Shepherd, who's not been well. She stepped up today. I thought she did really, really well. Backline done great. Holly at right back today was magnificent. She did a great job there. I think, to be honest, Ron, we had two illnesses. One, injury, like slight concern of not being able to play, and two, like absolutely missing due to other commitments. And you go, oh God, you don't really need that against what would be considered one of the better teams. But we did it. We won the Hastings way. We grinded it out. Another clean sheet. Don't concede goals. And I'm a big believer that if this team don't concede, they will win games because we have enough attacking threat about us. And today we adapted. Nicole had to play centrally, so we lost her out and wide, which has been so effective for us. She did the job today and she got in the score sheet.
And the final word. So it is FA Cup weekend next weekend in the Women's Vitality FA Cup. So do you have a message to the fans about coming and getting behind the team on make it a special cup day?
Yeah, let's get 400 or 500 there. Why not? Why can't we do that? We have a good chance, I believe, in the tie. We're an exceptionally good team. I think we're better than the level we play at. I think we've shown that this season. And finally, in Hastings, there's not just Hastings, but locally, there's a women's team to be proud of. And we'll carry on pushing. We'll push, and hopefully the support continues going up. 3 figures support every week has been fantastic. Long may that continue.
Thank you, Billy Wood.
And now over to our world-famous fan roundtable. Thanks very much for Adam, Robbie, Andy and Tony for making it happen. Yeah, we're expecting Kev as well. But you know what Kev's like. Kev could be... Kev could appear anywhere.
An ethereal presence.
He could be, couldn't he?
Yeah. He might be with us already.
I don't know. No, but I know who is with us, and it's Tony. Hello, Tony.
Yeah. Hi there.
Hello, Tony. We're just waiting on a couple more.
Okay.
They're not massively reliable, but we'll just give them a couple of minutes, okay?
Yeah. No problem, yeah.
Okay, so
you had a good trip to Harefield then.
Okay, you're rubbing it in now.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. I couldn't go. I was working.
No. Oh, right.
I was working, but the others did. As they, particularly Robbie, liked to rub salt in the wounds.
I don't not rub salt in the wounds, fell over, Chris.
Right, I got a WhatsApp message from you, Robbie, while I was at work, and you had some other people abusing me on there. Actually, I didn't even recognise the voices.
George, it was George.
Oh, was it?
Well, the next round of the the draw's not too bad, is it? Away to either Broadfield or South Park. So
It means you've got to go to Harefield again. Yeah, I was there.
yeah, I think
Harefield to get there.
South Park's all right. I've been there. It's a bit of a grotty pitch, but it's more accessible, I would say.
Yeah. Tony, where is South Park? Where is
it's
it?
up near Red Hill, Reigate.
Oh, okay.
It's just at the back of Reigate. If you ever went to Reigate's pitch at where the hospital is, Royal East Sussex Hospital, East Sussex Hospital where it is, you just hang a left and you go down some little country lanes till you find it. It's not far away. Yeah.
Well, Tony, don't stop talking because, first of all, this is Tony's first appearance on the round table. Please, Tony, tell us how you fell in love with Hastings and how long you've been watching them.
Well, I moved. I just lived behind the pilot field in Lyndhurst Avenue. I moved here in 1983. I followed Brighton from 1965 to 1983.
We forgive you.
To the cup final, and then because of having the young family and moving up to the back of the pilot field, then I took up the Hastings mantle, the United mantle, and I've accumulated quite a good. Well, with Brighton and with Hastings, I've got quite a good selection of programs. So,
yeah,
in my garage. Yeah. So I followed Hastings now through all their trials and tribulations, and we used to play excellent quality football back in the day in the Doc Martens League. So you know, I've been around the country seeing them play, and it's really high level of football. It's equivalent to the South Division, like where Eastbourne play. So
all right.
It was probably a little bit higher than that on occasions, like because you certainly had to do certainly the lads had to do a hell of a lot of travelling, like going to Tiverton on a Tuesday night. It was quite an ordeal, but we had some quality players in, and some good managers.
We've got good players and a quality manager now. Do you not say, Tony?
Yeah, but
Tony's coming in hot here. Go on.
It's the lower level of football we're playing at. That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. If we got into Ryman Premier, where we've been before a few seasons ago, it is a struggle. And this yeah. Well, we were all right up till Mark Gardner took over the club, and then he got us relegated from the Doc Martens League because he wanted to join the Isthmian League. And unfortunately, Slough, who were in the conference at the time, their ground was demoted. So Slough took the preference, and then so we ended up having to start from Hastings, had to start from ground zero again, So that's why it's been a terrible long slog since then, But Mark Gardner, his wisdom. Mick Maplespoon was okay. He was a good lad. He got the pitch sorted out basically. So that was his parting shot, Mick. But unfortunately, when they restructured all the leagues, we went down about 3 divisions. Unfortunately, so it hasn't been a good few years, has it? Really? Well, it must be getting over a decade now, I suppose.
Well, Tony, we're turning it around now, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I must admit, we've got a half sensible manager because we've had some really oddball managers at the time. We even had one of our managers was Neville Southall at the time.
I remember him. Him.
Yeah.
Great goalie.
Yeah.
One of the best goalies I've ever seen in life. I mean,
well, he was still a good goalkeeper because he was still playing charity matches when he was our manager. And then we went up to Whiteleaf one night, and we didn't have a goalkeeper. And he got hold of some Herbert from Tonbridge or somewhere like that, and we conceded 2 goals in 5 minutes. And we said, why the hell didn't he go between the sticks? Dave Waters, the then owner, was hiding. He went in hiding. But that's a classic example of me mentioning Whiteleaf. Developers have bought the ground.
Oh, wait, stop. We're going to come to this.
All right.
Let's talk about current day events, please.
Yeah.
Tony, I know you're very keen, sir.
Yeah.
You're very keen. You're taking over.
I'm just a bit
You're a
worried.
bully. You're a bully. You're taking over.
Yeah, I'm just a bit worried for the future for you youngsters. Yeah.
Well, me and Andy are youngsters. Thank you for that, Tony.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Oil you, though. Oil you, though.
Me.
Right.
I noticed that Tony bailed out from Brighton. Was that not the year they got relegated, or was it the year afterwards?
Yeah, it was year after. No, it was the year they got relegated.
Fair weather Brighton fan.
Yeah. I have been. I do go to Brighton. You know, I've been to the Wibdean quite a few times, and
I love the Wibdean.
It's not so much season. I do about 10 matches a season at Brighton. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have kept the faith.
Good.
I haven't wavered.
Right then, gang. Right. So we have only got. Who have we got here? Because I was hoping for others. Who was here at our great 4-0 FA Cup win at Harefield?
I was.
Speak up, Robbie, because I weren't.
Oh yeah, well, as you get these Fairweather fans never turning up. So the loyal fans, apart from Chris Fairweather, it was a classic. Biggest side players, little side welcome, John. That's not me disrespect of Harefield. I was really league above them, and pretty much you could tell because we dominated from minute one. We were quicker. They tried to be physical. We just passed it around them. They were giving Martin far too much space in the wing, and he kept on punishing them. Really great balls in. I mean, Dicko, another great performance from midfield. Really Frank Jenkins, 2 good performances in a row, bouncing back from his Ramsgate performance. Really good to see again. And I say lovely goals round. 2 great goals from Haslow. 1 great goal and 1 bubbled in. And 2 classic Pope goals. He seemed to be fighting with him again. The welcome from Harefield was fantastic. One of the warmest we've had. They're really happy. And there was some sort of documentary going on, which Billy Wood got on. So he was happy.
He likes the camera.
He does like a camera.
Yeah.
So it was a documentary. It's now a series.
Amazon Prime special, Hastings United. So him and Pat came to join the away fans. I think for a bit of good photos. So me and George, of course, immediately took our tops off.
Oh yeah, awesome.
And I'm pretty sure that was caught on camera. So
post watershed.
Exactly, but it's hard to really do it justice, to be fair, because it was just really one of those really comfortable performances where I just enjoyed the afternoon out. I mean, I can't give a detailed description of it because I was just enjoying myself. It was a really comfortable performance, really dominant. I can't remember any injury concerns. I can't remember much negatives, to be fair. It was completely dominant.
Yeah, okay. Their goalie didn't look too good. I saw the highlights of the goals, and he looks a bit shifty. That goalie, I wouldn't mind playing against him.
I thought the pitch looked a bit lively as well, didn't it?
We definitely played on worse. It wasn't. We definitely played on better. It was a bit bubbly and a bit. Let's hope we don't have to go there again next round.
Yeah, either Broadfield or South Park.
Out of those two, I've got nightmares about. None of those are 3G pitches, are they? I know one of them's playing at Harefield, but the other one isn't a 3G, is it?
Not sure on that because South Park had terrible trouble with their pitch, and I don't know what they've done about it. We haven't played with them for 2 seasons, so.
Well, last time I went to play them, I remember George and I and about 10 other fans went down at 7 a.m., 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Clear snow. We got the ground completely ready. It was fully playable. And they called up saying, "Oh, we can't come down." You can. The roads are clear. You just want to come play us.
Yeah. That's it. That's right. When they came to Hastings, they didn't come. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, as there's no one else here that went, I mean, we can't say anything. I would have loved to have gone. I don't know anyone that would have listened to last week's podcast. Probably no one. But I saw that this got one. Did you listen, Adam? Oh, thank you, Adam. Thank you. You should leave some feedback, right? But when I was talking to the Harefield chairman, he was telling me about Richard Paquette, who's a player that used to play for QPR.
Well, yeah, he's an old player, yeah.
Yeah, and I saw one of his first games because I'm a QPR fan as well. I can never get down there, and I can't afford it now. Yeah. But shush. So I saw when he first played. I was really looking forward to coming to see him. He was saying to me about, we'll lay something on, we'll have a couple of beers. we get to catch up with you and we'll talk, because he's a coach there now as well, Richard Piquet. So it would have been really cool. So, but that didn't happen because I'm obviously a fair weather fan. So
that brings back memories, QPR, because I went to London in '64 and moved down to Hastings in '72, and I went to I've been to most of the London pitches, and I always used to there used to be some quality players at QPR playing on a terrible pitch. So I've got fond memories of QPR. I've probably got the programs in the garage, I suspect. Yeah.
Funny enough, Tony, I'm doing a special on programs this week. I've got a fella from non-league programs. He's doing a thing on that, save the printed program.
Oh, right.
So we're trying to start a little bit of a campaign off in our own little way. But that's for this Thursday's episode anyway. Moving on, we move on to sorry, Robbie. Sorry.
Yeah, but sorry, before we move on, obviously, another quick shout out to welcome Harefield gave us. Talking to Pat, and when all the directors and players got off the coach, I think he said to Stuart and all the directors there to shake all their hands they came off the coach. And I thought that was like a really lovely gesture from them, sort of thing. And so, and we said to them they can keep all the gate receipts. It's part of just obviously it's a really big day for them. And I think, once again to emphasise what great hosts they were.
Yeah.
Well, the bloke, Gary, the chairman, was lovely. And he said he was going to try and follow us. This was before. He's going to try and follow us because he wants us to do well and all that. It's really overly nice, actually.
Yeah. So, what league do they play in now, Harefield? I used to live up there.
I'd have to cheat. Yeah. I can't. I'll have a look.
I think they're probably county league.
Tell you what, Adam Carter's going to find out for you.
Oh, he's the man.
He's the man.
Yeah.
He's the whiz.
Yeah.
With his Bob Dylan look at the moment. This is Bob Dylan, sort of 70s Bob Dylan.
Looking good.
Excellent. They're in the Spartan South Midlands League Premier Division.
Oh, really?
Right, there you go. Try saying that after a few pints. Right.
Yeah. League below us then.
Fit that into a chart.
Challenge accepted.
Very well done, Robbie. Right, so we move on to the magnificent start from the women's team. They beat AFC Acorns 1-0.
Yeah, that was good.
I know that I was there for like 10, 15 minutes because I was on my lunch break, but I know Mr. Carter and Mr. Andy.
Yes.
Andy Quay.
We'll get there 1 year.
1 year. They were both there. So please, gentlemen, who wants to kick this off?
You please, Andy.
Well, it was the first game Laura and I had been to. Actually, the first women's game we'd been to up there because the nice weather and because we missed the game on Saturday, and better than sort of doing battle on a seafront pub, we thought we'd go up. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. I have to say, Pilot Field on a day like yesterday in that weather, it's sort of idyllic, isn't it? It's just such an idyllic place. But anyway, the match exceeded my expectations. Actually, I think I don't know about you, Adam, but I'm sure the weather didn't help. It was absolutely.
It was so hot and obviously
out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. And obviously, we had a few of our sort of first teamers out, so we was playing a few that maybe weren't up to scratch, and then playing in that heat would have been a lot for them. But they gave it their all. You could tell that
it was. Yeah. So for that part of it, and the thing that as a first timer to the women's team, I like the way they were definitely trying to play. You could see the blueprint on it, which was good. Technically, obviously it was a mixed bag in some ways, but there was a pretty high standard, really. Technically a nice standard, and the goal was excellent. The goal really was absolutely in a very, very tight game. It was an excellent goal. Just a one.
View the goal on the website.
Yeah, I think it might well have been Tibble who put a first time ball through and then just a little knock into
the bait up, and
that's right, base up. That's right, who just toe poked it under the goalie, And so it was a really nice goal and a really tight game, actually. The only thing was, I don't know about you, Adam, but I thought we hung on a bit at the end. The opposition came back. They looked a bit stronger at the end, I have to say. But nevertheless, the defenders were excellent. Again, generally the defence, any time they were turned, it was quite interesting that the way they used their body or their body position or their timing of their making the tackle whenever they got turned, even in that weather, they didn't stop and snuffed pretty much everything out, I think. And so even when they were under pressure, they did really well. So, so it was great. We would go again. £2. I mean, for God's sake, it's just what's not to like? We just potted up there, potted home. It was brilliant.
Excellent. Yeah, it was a really good one. Like you say, with their defence, they were really on it. And then you had Blair Hamilton in goal making some great sort of saves as well. So, yeah, it was enthralling because normally by that time of the match, we're normally 3 or 4 goals up by minimum. So to see them under that little bit of pressure also helped in sort of like seeing what they can do defensively. So, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it would have slightly annoyed me had it been one of the 10-0 games or something like that. Because I think, again, you could see the way they've built the team again, just from what I read or what we read about it, the way they built the team again. It might take 2 or 3 years for them to find their level and I think and then it'll start to get really interesting.
If we win this league, then we go up and we start playing teams like Fulham, Fulham women's. That's when it gets interesting.
That's right. Yeah. So it's working. It's working.
Oh, good. In terms of the fixtures, I can never work this out. How many teams are actually in this league? Because there's a big gap, isn't there, between fixtures, Adam?
Yeah, there's a big gap coming up because there's going to be cup games. So depending on how we do in our cup game, this Sunday we've got a cup, and then obviously sort of taking it from there, see how that goes. But the other problem that we've had as well, the reason they've put such a gap in is a lot of teams have not been able to play. So you've got like Phoenix Sports, who have only played 1 game so far. You've got 3 or 4 other teams in there that have only played 1. So they've put they've released all the fixtures for this year and put a big enough gap in for everybody to catch up to have played 5 games come Christmas. So that's why we've got such a long gap, because we haven't missed a game yet. It's the same with Acorns, except for Acorns are pretty much from the beginning of October. They don't have any matches until Christmas because they're not in the FA Cup. They got knocked out.
So, I mean, is there, I don't know if you guys know, is there plans to try and get some friendlies in there or something? Because you can't not play for 2 months and then expect to perform.
Yeah, from what I understand, the Southern County League that we was in last season are looking, Sussex County one, are looking to do a Sussex County Cup.
Okay.
Because there's, so I think
that's all right.
Hastings might get involved with that. I'm not 100% sure, but we would certainly get friendlies, or there is another cup coming up soon, but they just haven't released the fixtures for it yet. So
okay. All right then. Okay, well, I think we've covered Acorns, yeah?
Yeah, I've just seen the goal on the Facebook. Yeah, very good, very well worked goal. Yeah, excellent football. Right,
we're done with this. Right, so we're going to go. We're obviously over to you, Tony. Now, please.
Well,
say your piece. Go on.
Yeah. Well, I've had meetings with various people, and I've eventually found out through various councillors that Hastings Borough Council seem to be hell-bent on wanting to build houses on the pilot field and then shove us up. So what they've done is they've given the land to Mr. Burney. Both sets of land have been proposed to be given to Mr. Burney. And what I can't get my head around is when you're giving land away, well, why is Mr. Burney going to... We think, I spoke to a councillor and he made inquiries, and Mr. Burney on getting planning permission for the pilot field and selling it on, he's going to get in the region of about 7.6 million for it.
Obviously estimated.
Yeah, it's all estimated. Yeah, in current values, obviously, things go up and down. But I'll probably estimate he's going to clear about £5 million himself. But the proposed new stadium up at Tile Kiln is in stages, and you do wonder, what level of commitment there is actually from him to fulfil, because obviously you need revenue throughout the years with Hastings. You need revenue to sustain the club without having a wealthy benefactor, i.e. a lottery player. But in the main, we've had...
He was a QPR fan, by the way, Mark. Mark was a QPR fan, just so you know.
Yeah, good man.
Don't trust the QPR fan. It'd be a really big shame to lose the pilot field with all its history. It was given to the land, which includes the Firs and Appletree, the archery field. It was given in trust to the people of Hastings in 1908, around about there it was. And then the stand was built in 1926 when Hastings started to become the council built the area because they became a bit more proactive in the leagues, they had a half decent team. Obviously we had the speedway track there, and throughout the years we've always had quite a few events there. It wasn't till Dave Waters took over that he started to get this notion about moving the ground. So it's in COVID, it's been going on under the counter, There's only 6 councillors in Hastings that decide on these matters, and 3 of them are the arch enemies. That's a guy called Andy Batsford, a guy called Paul Barnett, and Peter Chowney. And these are these ones who want to give the land away to Darren Burney. But does it work like that, Tony? So, I mean, obviously, just as a devil's advocate, how does it work? You don't just say, "Oh, I'm just going to give this stadium. Giving this stadium away." So because I don't know about planning permission. So,
it's got to go through planning permission first. The tile kiln's coming up first. Then it will be the pilot field. You think going on what I was saying about Whiteleaf? They were bought out by developers, and obviously one of the consortium in the developers was Ian Rush, believe it or not, and they made it completely unsustainable, the rent on the ground. So Whiteleaf had to pack up after 60 years because it's completely unstable. There's another team have taken the rent on the ground, but they've only got it for 4 years because obviously they're land banking, and where Whiteleaf is. It's in a very favourable area,
Sorry, Tony, to cut in.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
Hastings United pay Hastings Borough Council to use that ground?
Yeah, it's only a peppercorn rent. Because Mark Gardner, he renegotiated the lease, and he took on the maintenance of the ground. And so what I understand from the councillors, it's just a very, very peppercorn rent, So
and how long is that for now?
It was 99 years lease was.
Right. Okay. So it's quite a long time.
It is. Yeah. It was.
And so the tile kiln planning permission for the ground, etc., is supposed to go through before planning permission for the pilot field.
Yeah, as I understand it from the Labour councillor I was speaking to.
I was never really sure. We did this in Mobilia. It seems like ages ago now.
It does.
Mobilia was on, wasn't it? Hastings don't stand to get any money out of that sale of that land.
No,
that's Hastings Borough Council.
No. Yeah. All they get is something called a 106 for building new section 106 for building new houses. But as the Labour councillor told me, all this is diluted amongst other organisations. East Sussex take a bit, someone else takes a bit. So in the fact, when Hastings end up with their lump of money, it's only going to be absolutely minuscule compared with what Mr. Burney's going to cop in his back pocket,
and then the move to tile.
Allegedly, Tony.
Well, it's all alleged. Yeah, it's
allegedly, mate.
Yeah.
You know,
I have written to the leader of the council, and she never responded as well, outlining all this, like, you know.
So when the move to Tilekeel, again, this wasn't clear probably from Billy's thing a while ago, but then again, we didn't ask the questions. It's a different sort of angle on it now, isn't it?
Yeah.
When we go to Tilekeel, we would have to pay. There's a rent for that, so it's not.
No, the council are giving the land to Mr. Burney. So there's no fee involved, because the land will be handed over to Mr. Burney, like, as well.
So the Tilekeel land.
The Tilekeel land.
The Tilekeel land.
Then we would pay, but then Hastings United would pay him a rent for the ground.
Yeah. Well, this is what, when I was speaking to the Labour Council, this was completely unclear. What as to the extent of Mr. Burney's commitment. That is the big grey area about it. Yeah.
Right. So yeah. Okay, so I've just sort of tried because Mr. Logic here and sort of stripping it back.
You know, the clubhouse, the old post office clubhouse is right behind me, and that now is back up and running, and I don't mind it, because it's earning revenue for the club all the time. You know, I cannot see anyone wanting to go up Tilekeel when there's no facilities up there, like, you know, like the old post office club here. Or the bar we got in, or the pilot bar, which was built by Mark Gardner and Mick Mapleston. You know, I cannot see how we're going to generate revenue going forward. You know,
have you, out of interest, Tony? Sorry, Robbie, just one sec. Yeah. Out of interest, Tony, have you looked at the Tilekeel plans on the website?
Yes. Yeah, I've got them. Yeah. They've been amended about 3 times now.
Because I'm sure there's facilities there for a bar and rest.
They're on the plans,
but
it's phase 2. It's phase 2.
Okay.
I've got all the plans here, but some of it's phase 1 and some of it's phase 2. See, and all the big buildings are phase 2, basically. The gym and
Don't forget that Hastings United don't move there until phase 2 begins.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Hastings don't move there until phase 2 begins, because they want phase 1 completed first. So that's why they're now.
Will the commitment be there for phase 2 from Mr. Burney? I can't see him, once he gets a shed load of money. I can't see him spending.
Can I ask? Sorry, Rodney, can I ask you where this mistrust from, as you call him, Mr. Burney, comes? Because everywhere else I've been from the club, Darren Burney said nothing but fantastic for this club, and he's obviously he's put a lot. He's put a lot of money behind this club. He's helped us keep going. And in my opinion, he's shown nothing but commitment to the club. And I have no doubt he's got the best interest in heart. And I also know that Billy Wood, obviously our current chairman, is obviously also investing in the club. So he owns a profit. He owns a bit of the club. Yeah. And everyone knows Billy knows. He knows how to make a bit of money. So he would definitely want to move the club forwards. And I have full faith in his plans for the Tilekeel. Yeah, that will be a money-making area, especially compared to the repair costs we've got of the current pilot field. Much as I love the pilot field with a passion, it is falling apart, and it's major renovation.
So reiterating Robbie's in the light of what Robbie said there, what is the big concern here? If we were going to say there's a big concern here, and we need to articulate that to, for example, to Billy or to the club, or
is this commitment in writing?
What's the big concern?
Is this commitment in writing?
Would you be happy with that? Out of interest, Tony, because I mean, obviously you're part of the residents association.
Oh yes, we will.
They will build houses where you are. So
the thing is, with planning, it's going to happen because they're building on the old. They want to build on the old school site above us, but. It's having the right type of development that is in trouble with it all, you know. But that's our argument, and also you've got to be aware of the surrounding area as well, because there's quite a bit of nature and wildlife around the pilot field, you know. So it's got to be something that blends in with the area. But at the moment,
with the posh houses in the area.
I don't want to say that exactly posh houses.
Posh houses in the area, mate.
Yeah.
There's still time for somebody to find a great crested newt up at Tile Kiln yet, isn't there? So that works at both ends, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
I think it's quite interesting in that is your main concern about the building that's going to happen in your area, or the likely failure of a move to the Tile Kiln and us being left with an open facility?
You've got to be open-minded with this. So you're not against pushing things forward. My biggest concern is, which got me riled from the start, is that Hastings Borough Council are always pleading poverty. And why do they have to give the land away? That is one of my biggest gripes. That is, I have to say, why are you giving away land when you're pleading poverty all the time?
Well, speaking as an ex-shareholder of the pier,
yeah,
I sort of know they have form on this sort of thing. So it's interesting. I suppose the biggest thing is really getting Billy's response on this, and even this Mr. Bernie.
Yeah,
you make him sound like some sort of mafioso.
He's a nice guy.
Bernie,
you have a chat with him. He's a lovely guy.
I mean, all of this, not the transcripts. Don't worry, because we're not yet in Stasi. We're almost in Stasi land, but these questions I am going to put to them.
Yeah,
Tony. I mean,
yeah, good. Yeah. If his commitment is 100% and it's in writing, and he's not walking away with millions of pounds in his back pocket and making us wallow in the mire, then fair enough,
Well, you said you approached the Conservative MP.
Yeah.
So what was her view?
She was completely misled by him, because he
by who? Sorry.
Darren Burney completely misled her. He rang her up during COVID, so she wasn't paying 100%. But he said, "I am the owner of Hastings United Football Club, and I propose to build them a new stadium." So she said, "Oh, that's fine, that's fine." But she didn't really understand where the guy comes from, his company. So he didn't go. Obviously, he wouldn't elaborate himself what his background is, because she never asked. So I had to enlighten her on it all, what the actual situation was, So,
okay, so she wasn't against the move in
the thing is, she said, well, it would have been nice if you'd given me the full story, but she was under pressure and she never asked. So 6 of one, half dozen the other, really, isn't it?
So you were telling me when I see you at the pilot field, obviously, and you were telling me that you were going to start a petition.
Well, we will start a petition, because the reason why we're starting a petition is it's not exclusively against the house building. It's the other problems we have in the area with sewerage and surface water. Yeah, okay. We take all the water from the cemetery gates to the top of Pilot Field, and I can tell you, it comes in on the back of my property, where the big culvert is, and behind me, in 38 years, I've gone from about 10 or 12 foot deep to over 20 foot deep now. So the amount of surface water that's coming down. And with the Pilot Field, building there, since Osborne House hasn't helped, because obviously the surface water has increased off Osborne House area, and also that's one of our big concerns, because the amount of flooding that takes place lower down, and sewerage as well that comes out. So that's one of our biggest gripes, that if you did the drainage properly, all well and good, but I have seen houses in Hostwood Road have been flooded out with sewerage,
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I think we'd have to be careful, though, that we are concerned about the Hastings United Football Club move and not the Elphinstone.
But any development has a huge impact. That's the trouble.
Yeah, no, I do understand that. We don't want to bore. We don't.
But we've also got a big nature area around the ground now.
I just want to use my words carefully. Our concern is I totally agree. But you know, we're not against house cleaning per se, but we always feel that something more could have been done with the pilot field. But obviously, the last few owners have had different views on it because. Principally because of the stand, but there are. I was told there are other options to placate that and get the stand demolished and rebuilt by loans from Sport England and what have you. So, and the National Heritage Lottery Heritage Fund, I was told about. Yeah, this is going to be going. The same sort of conversations are going to be going on at the other end again. I know my comment was a bit facetious, but nevertheless, exactly the same comments are going to be going on at the other end. I think our biggest concern, coming back to what Robbie said, is are these people committed? Are the plans watertight?
Yeah.
And all we can do is we have to take what Billy Wood's done at face value at the moment, and the people that remain at the club at face value, and all those involved, and we're sort of at the tail end of the whip a bit here, aren't we? We have to. We may sit on this podcast, but we're all just fans, aren't we?
Exactly.
So the biggest thing is reassurances, and that bogging people down is just getting a little bit more detail, maybe. But maybe Billy would just say that's coming.
I have no doubt. I fully trust, obviously, Billy, Darryl Burney and Pat as well. So to speak to them quite a lot. Obviously, mainly Pat and Billy. Only spoken to a bit. I think Darren maybe once in my life. But so I do trust all three of them. So I think they're the big three. Do think about, obviously, when you think about the board and directors, you've got Haley and that, and obviously as well. But they're the big three. Do think about, and so I fully trust them all. I say everything they've all done for the club has been fantastic. They've put a lot of effort in, and everything I hear about Darren Burney is always good and positive. And I have no doubt with people like Pat on the board, he would. If he had any sense, anything like what you said, you're worried it could happen, he would not allow it. He would literally throw his body in front of it to stop it, essentially. Because obviously we all know the love Pat's got for the club. So you've got to remember, it's not just people like Darren Burney in Cardiff. You're worried about, as people from Hastings seem to be concerned that he was Essex-based in his company. And so I have full faith in Darren. I have full faith in everyone involved that though those financial concerns, could be an issue, won't be. And in terms, obviously, so you say you want to develop the pilot field, you've got to remember developing it to work and developing it to advance at the leagues, because back to footballing reasons, we want to be a football league club. Yeah. And a pilot field is not in a position to be redeveloped into a full seating stadium.
Yeah, and Billy has definitely predicated this on going up the leagues, more crowds, more revenue, etc., isn't it? There's no doubt about that. That's his vision.
That takes a huge amount of funding, though, doesn't it? Because we have been in higher leagues, and I know it takes a huge amount of funding, and you have to have some sort of wealthy benefactor in this.
Well, it doesn't. It's not always that, though, Tony, is it? It's not always.
Well, the thing is, if you
rich bloke that comes along. It's about having a structure, isn't it? About like what we talk about the youth system.
I used to go to Kingstonian quite a bit, and they built a marvellous clubhouse there, which was separate from the actual ground. And when Kingstonian went under, well, Wimbledon bought them out when Wimbledon got moved over up from Plough Lane. And I always feel, well, if you're gonna advance, you need something of that nature to fund the clubs, like, because that's where you get the money from, is having a hospitality place, And I think that's why Eastbourne have done that well over the years, because they got that separate venue, haven't they, at Eastbourne as well, Borough. So I think, it's all right having the sports all in the gym, but, you cannot, I just can't see the absolute, it's going to make that absolute type of money, to sustain a club. Because I've been in, when we've gone down the lower leagues, when we've gone across hard times, we've been down to like 200 at the pilot field on a lot of matches throughout the years, So yeah, success.
Oh, that was then, Tony.
Yeah,
that was
success,
then. We're talking
success.
now, mate.
Yeah, success does bring
Success.
does bring it all, but yeah, it is, you know, well, that's all my opinion is on it. Is it sustainable? That's the way I look at it.
Well, what I will do, Tony, is the questions that you've asked.
Yeah,
I'll put them to Billy, and I'll try and get in contact with Darren.
Yeah, well, if you've got contact with him, yeah, because if there's a hard and fast commitment, fair enough, you know.
Okay.
I know the people up at Tolkien aren't very happy with the proposal. when you read through the planning comments.
Yeah, to be fair, most of them haven't actually read the planning comments.
Yeah.
One of them said, "Oh yeah, but they have speedway at Hastings, sort of things. We can't have that at Tyngill. Not a speedway at Part of Phil for years.
Oh,
Actually, read the goddamn plans before you comment."
That was 1948. We had speedway.
Yeah. My point exactly. People, quite a lot of people are just on around Tyngill is complaining because they don't like change.
Yeah, that's
also there'll be the usual thing. There's thousands of people up there, and there'll be 10 people leading the charge on.
They'll be very loud.
I think we have to let that.
Yeah, well, that will always happen. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So anyway, I'll leave it with you boys.
All right, then, Tony. Well, let's
discuss it all out.
Well, what we do, we try and get some answers. I'll put it on the podcast either. I'll get him on and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And then if there's any developments on your end, just get in contact with us and we'll get.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
I mean, we're out of COVID, or gradually clambering out of COVID. As long as autumn goes okay, there's no reason why there shouldn't be some sort of Q&A at the Pilot Bar or something like that with the main players. Why not?
Yeah.
I say related to that, obviously, supporters club are planning. We haven't getting it to a date. We are looking to do another fans forum, and we do tend to invite a member of the club to come and answer our questions we have as a fan base. So obviously, just keep your eyes out on the socials for that. If there's a supporters club to announce it, and we'll get the questions together, and we will put them to it. As a supporters club, we will put your questions towards the club itself.
Yeah, that sounds great to
very
me.
Good, yeah.
I
like your enthusiasm, boys. Very good. Excellent enthusiasm. Yeah.
Tony,
leave us old gits to it.
Oh, no, Tony, you're a very valued member of the supporters, mates. Don't.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been up and down that many years with them. Always keep my ear to the ground, see what's going on around the leagues as well. You know, that's why I found out about Whiteleaf. You know, so
good ground, Whiteleaf. I enjoyed our trip there.
Yeah, nice people there. Right in, chaps.
Yeah.
We are done.
Good on you. Leave you to it.
Right. Take care, Tony.
Andy,
Robbie.
Good okay, be in touch.
And that's it for another week, News fans. And as always, I say, if you've got a comment or suggestion, or want to come on the show, or be part of one of our weekly roundtables, you're more than welcome. All you need to do is drop me an email on hufcpod@gmail.com, or contact us on the Twitter, which is @HUFCpodcast. And remember, you can listen to this podcast on all good platforms. Our YouTube is growing and packed full of video interviews as well as old episodes. Please give it a look, comment and subscribe if you can. All that's left for me to say is, I've been your host, Chris Laverick. Hope you have a good week and see you at the game.